The old dog was a mangy old mutt. It was dirty. He lived most of its life outside on a chain. It's a mean old dog. And that night, it had been in our yard a little too much. So my brother and I, we went to our rooms and we got our BB guns. Went to the back porch and we waited till that old dog come back through our yard and shot at the backside a couple times with the BB gun until it scampered off, whining and crying, back to its house. Side note, the owner of that dog, his kid also lived a few doors up, and the kid was the same, sort of a mean old mutt who just sort of rambled through our yard on occasion, picking on us, generally just being mean to us. So we didn't feel very bad about putting a couple pellets in the backside of the dog. Dog's mom found out, and that's what leads me to today's story. When I was 7 years old, on my birthday, when I turned 7, at the end of first grade, I got my first shotgun. It's a 410 breech load, single barrel. I loved it. I was so small that my dad had to take the rubber butt off the end of it and cut the stock down about an inch with a jigsaw and screwed the butt back onto the stock there so that when I put it to shoulder, my finger could get to the trigger. As a birthday present, not only did I get the shotgun, but I got to go to the hunt and shooting club with my dad, my grandfather, my mom's dad, and shoot trap and skeet that weekend. And I could return back to first grade at the end of May with a big bruise on my shoulder that I earned at the range. Before I was 10, my brother and I shared responsibilities mowing yards and making money, and we bought our first rifle together when I was about 9 and he was about 7 from my grandfather. It was a single shot 22 long rifle, and my mom would take us to the woods not far from our house and taught us how to shoot a rifle different than the shotguns that we had learned to shoot for. I missed a week of school in 4th grade to go hunting, another week of school in 5th grade to go hunting, and that pattern continued. My dad, as you know, was a long-distance truck driver, and he got word on the highway that my brother and I had shot this dog. Lived in a small plat with not many houses, and there weren't a lot of secrets. So my dad come off the road, and it was late at night, and I remember very fondly, I was probably 8 or 9 years old, and he woke me up and woke my brother up. We're in our pajamas, which is probably t-shirt and whitey tighties. He brought us to the living room of our house, and he said, did you shoot the dog? Yeah, I shot the dog. Looks at my brother, did you shoot the dog? I was like, yeah, I shot the dog. My dad says, I want you to go to your rooms right now and get your BB guns. So we go to our rooms, we get the BB guns and bring them back to the living room. And my dad says, now I want you to take those 2 BB guns, I want you to go to the front porch, and I want you to bang them on the ground, on the porch, on the concrete, until you cannot count the pieces. Then pick it all up, put it in the trash, carry yourself back to bed. I remember my brother and I, tears welling up. You know, the BB gun was a fun little gun to have. Sure, we had a rifle, we had a shotgun. The shotgun was probably in my room on a rack above my dresser. That BB gun was a lot of fun. My brother and I go to the front porch, and I remember it being dark and cold and late, and we just started banging that BB gun on the concrete over and over and over and crying until it just shattered in our hands. Scooped up all the pieces, screws and bits of plastic and metal and springs, BBs rolling everywhere, threw them in the trash and went to bed. Next morning, my dad said, guns are good for 2 things. They're good for killing and good for sport. Shooting an old dog is neither one of those 2 things. Pull the trigger when you're ready to kill, and you're ready to kill when you're ready to eat or ready to defend yourself. No other reason. I never owned another BB gun. I knew from that day on that guns were not toys. They weren't meant to intimidate. They were weapons. I lived the rest of my days in that house under his roof with a gun at the foot of my bed, another rack of guns at the end of the hall, ammunition for all of them. But I think that little lesson with a BB gun when I was 8 or 9 years old taught me a life lesson. I think the dog is probably fine. I was probably fine, but I surely understood more about guns after that day than I ever did before. That was just a lesson the way my dad would teach it. So I hope the story is good for you. I hope it was something that you liked. And again, these are all just ways for me to practice my craft of storytelling as I return to the Moth stage, hopefully one day in Louisville, before I compete again in December. So thanks for listening. You guys have a good week. Go meet a stranger, tell a story, make a friend. Bye.